Welcome to Think Big with Dan and Qasim. Join hosts Dan Melnick and Qasim Masood as they explore big ideas, limitless possibilities, and engage with visionaries, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders who dare to dream big, get inspired, motivated, and find practical tips for personal growth. Think big, dream bigger, and ignite your potential.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Guest today, Leila K. Leila, please, first of all, tell us where you're calling in from and what you do for a living with the Heal Tea.
Yeah, I'm calling in from Montreal, Canada, and
Awesome.
I'm the co-founder of Heal Tea Botanical Infusion. So very, very happy to be here today.
Yeah,
Thanks
really happy to have you. I appreciate you coming on. And yeah, so I guess just tell us a little bit about your background. I mean, what did you kind of see out there in the market? What problem are you looking to solve in creating this brand? And, why get into this space specifically? I'm curious.
100%. So my background is very eclectic, so I won't even go into it. I've touched day trading. I've worked in sales for beauty products. I've done my own cinema. I've hosted TV shows. Very, very
awesome.
eclectic, and I keep going. I can keep going.
Yeah.
But I also was a stay-at-home mom for 10 years, and my kids really got me into natural health and how it could really impact your whole health, like your
That's
whole
a role
family's health.
reversal right there.
Exactly.
Your kids got you into
Exactly. The kids got me into that because, I saw that I didn't want to go to the traditional way. I saw all my friends and family having their kids always at the clinics, at the doctors. And I was like, they have diagnostics of ADHD and this and that. And I was like, oh my goodness, like, how can we kind of avoid that if we can? Is there something we could do that's in our control? And I started testing, and the more I tested, the more I saw results. And it was just herbs, plants, essential oils, nutrients, vitamins, micronutrients and all that stuff. And I was like, that's it, like that. And, I keep knock on wood, but I keep saying I've never seen a doctor with my 3 kids, and we're not supernatural. We didn't, we're not, we don't have specific genes that make us stronger for some reason. We just tried things. So they were sick sometimes, and, we didn't eat perfectly or whatever. And then, I knew how to take care of them, and they got back up. And so it was great. And then I had this, when I saw results for me and my family, my kids, I started sharing it to my community, to my friends. And I was known as like the go-to girl for, hey, I have a headache, or I can't get rid of this or that. And I was like, oh, try this, try that. And then I was curious, to see what their results were. And they always had good results. So I'm like, this is great. So from that, we had neighbors. We're all neighbors. We founded the company because we saw that there was a problem. Like, a lot of people were trying to find alternatives to sodas, to ice, very sweetened iced tea. Even like juice is super sweet. Like, orange juice can be 28 grams of sugar. Mm-hmm. So, you try to avoid too much sugar with the kids. Nobody's perfect, but in a good world, and even for yourself, you try to mitigate, especially drinking sugar. And then there's all those sodas, 0 sugars, but it's sugars that are not healthy for you. And they have all sorts of chemicals inside. Even sparkling water is perfume, right? It's a fragrance that they add to it, and that's it. So there's preservatives, there's colors, there's fillers. So we're like, hey, we can make beverages better. What can we do? And then my business partner, he's my neighbor, but also an Italian chef. He has 3 restaurants, and he was wow. Well, why don't we use herbs? And I was like, let's do a ready to drink that's made of herbs. And it took me half a second. Being a stay-at-home mom, I was like, yes, it was perfect timing. My youngest was going into school, so it was like just perfect. Like, get me into this project, and we just started digging and seeing was there a market. We had access to universities to see all their data banks and see, is there another product similar? Is there anything? Is there a trend? Is there something giving us wings under this product? And there was no main direct competition. Of course, as a ready to drink, there's a lot of competition. Will people feel like drinking water or getting a energy drink, or so there are a lot of competitions, but there was nothing specifically geared to that. And we were starting to see kind of a trend coming in from Europe, being from there, and I lived there a little bit as well. So, but my partner is Italian from Rome, so he's like, well, yeah, we don't drink kombucha, that's for sure. And he's like, kombucha, not a lot of people like it. I liked it, but I couldn't have it because it has caffeine inside, and then I couldn't sleep. If past noon I have any caffeine, I can't sleep. And my kids, of course, I didn't want to give that to them because, first of all, they don't like the taste, and second of all, there's caffeine. So we needed to find another alternative. And he just started mixing recipes. And to me, it was super important. It has to be organic for our health, but for the planet as well. Organic is better for our planet. Then it has to be simple, clean label, like the cleanest we can. If we have 2 ingredients, that would be the best. But we went up to 4 and we took the best sugar. So it's maple syrup. So it's coming out with full of studies saying it's so good for you for this, for that. lemon juice as the only preservatives, and it's real lemon juice, not from concentrated. And then we brew 2 herbs just to do a synergy with the herbs. So for instance, ginger chamomile is good for your digestion. Peppermint dandelion. Yes, we use weird plants. We use dandelion because it's so good for you. It's good for your liver. It's good to uplift you. And then there's nettle, rosemary. Nettle is also a weed that I could say, and those were in brackets for those who didn't see my fingers going up. So it's a good plant that grows everywhere, and it's super healthy for you, and it tastes just like a homemade iced tea. And it doesn't have, our drinks don't have that aftertaste of stevia or those fake sugars. It doesn't taste, it says 0 calories, but it tastes super sweet. So we don't have that. It really tastes not sweet at all. It's just to balance the lemon juice with the sweetener a little bit with the maple syrup. It makes it just perfect. And it's like everybody that tries this goes like, wow. Sometimes we want to change the name of our company to wow. Oh, wow. Because people love it so much. So yeah, that's kind of in a nutshell how we got started.
That's amazing. No, I love that. And I'm curious of like there's obviously a few different flavors now on the website. What was the original that you came out with? What was your first, like you got together and you were like, this is it. And like, this is going to be our like jumping off. What was the first flavor? I'm curious.
The first one was nettle rosemary. Actually, that's how he came up to me, Francesco. He said, why don't we make a ready to drink made of nettle? That's how he said it. Like then I was like, well, there's nettle, but there's so many other herbs too. And then he started mixing. But yeah, the original one. And it's the one that people gravitate to the most and love the most as well when they try it. Sometimes it's like, oh, ginger, I love ginger, or hibiscus. We have a new hibiscus mango now. And they're like, oh, I love mango and I love hibiscus. So they go towards that one. But when they try all of them, but really nettle rosemary becomes one of the favorites. It's actually super good with gin as well as a mixer.
Oh, okay.
It's really, really delicious.
I'll admit that's why I kind of thought that when I first started looking at these. I was like, what a great mixer some of these would be, because I love the botanical herbal flavors that come with like, all kinds of different gin drinks are some of my favorites. So yeah, that's so funny you say that. I was literally thinking, I was like, that's the first thing I'm gonna do when I get to try this. Is
you have to, and like hibiscus mango with Aperol spritz, it's really good. So there's so many other things that we can do with it, but yeah, those are my two go-tos.
Yeah, I love it. And then I guess I'm just curious, something like this, obviously you're selling through the website. Could obviously see this, on grocery store shelves and even like, convenience store shelves. So could you give me a little bit of a breakdown between like, where your revenue channels are? Are you doing mostly retail, mostly D2C? Are you on Amazon? Give me kind of a breakdown of, your revenue channels there. Yeah.
Absolutely. So we are everywhere. Basically, we're all in all the channels. Even like a retail clothes store can have us because it's an impulse buy. People are thirsty. Yeah. Bottled water's out. We don't want those in the stores anymore. We don't want to drink from it. So they're looking for something else that's healthy, that doesn't taste synthetic. Sometimes, like I said, sparkling water tastes synthetic. So we do groceries are main, and food service are our two main. Like we started there. Then we did a website. I think it was in 2020. End of 2020 or beginning 2021 that we got it started because COVID easiness of, finding the product and all that stuff. So, and when you do a lot of marketing, you want people to find you and you do marketing online. So, click, it's at your door. So we started doing our own Shopify website there and it started working. So then we evolved it a little bit. So retail is our biggest, and food service, I would say, our smallest is web, but it's starting to be bigger. It's maybe 5% now. It used to be maybe 2%, but now it's 5% of our sales. And we do all sorts of, catering, universities, CJEPs, hospitals, schools. We're pretty much vending machines. We're pretty much bombarding everywhere because people want to drink something that's healthier and that's guilt-free. And you can drink 18 a day if you want, no problem. So people are thirsty for better everywhere.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I could definitely see that. It's funny you say that. I've never really thought about it like that, but I suppose like, the Cokes and like, I mean, I know people who drink 6 to 8 Diet Cokes every day. I mean, a lot of these things are just like impulse. Yeah. Just like between the caffeine and everything else, I feel like it's just an impulse. Like you just want something to just have like all throughout your day. I actually, so funny. You're like reading my mind. Exactly what I thought when I looked at your website originally. It's like, this looks like something I could just like sip on every day, like 2, 3, just like throughout my day, nice and cold, like no caffeine, not making me crazy. Exactly. So that's amazing. So what would you say is your kind of breakdown between, I know you mentioned your Amazon went from like kind of 2 to 5%. It's cool. You're seeing some growth on there, which is actually a common experience I'm hearing from a lot of other CPG brands. I think Amazon has like made some good changes to their, the way they cater to like, kind of growing online brands. You don't have to like necessarily, do a lot of craziness like you used to be successful on Amazon. So what is kind of your breakdown for the rest of it between like what you're doing in your e-commerce and your retail? I'm curious.
Yeah, I would say 50% is retail, grocery, and like healthy food and super chains and all that stuff. And then probably 40 is food service. And then the rest is all broken down into either grocery or food service, but subcategories, smaller subcategories,
Gotcha.
like universities, hospitals, and all that stuff. It's in food service, but mostly it's cafes and restaurants and all that stuff that are fast food chains that are healthier, like Copper Branch, or those are the ones we cater to. And then in the grocery stores, they also have a grab and go or fresh salad place. So that's where we usually are in double placements in retail. So we're in the organic section and in the grab and go section. And then the rest would be online, I would say. Even, Facebook Shop or Amazon or Shopify. That would be mostly it.
Yeah, that's great. And I'm curious, like with these, with your retail partners or your food service partners or the kind of, like real on the ground places aside from the digital, do you operate mostly in places in Canada, or have you penetrated the US market for your retail, or what does that kind of look like for you?
Yeah, we're in over 1,000 in Canada, across Canada, but in the States, we just launched end of January. We're in Erewhon, Lastons, Bristol Farms. We just got into Google and Meta head offices. There's a lot more coming. It's just, it takes time we were at Expo West, and then from there, everything was is happening, but we can't say yet, but it's happening. There's going to be a lot of other retailers across the States. But right now we're focusing on West mostly because we saw that our persona was there. They understand our product. We don't even need to explain the product. We put it on a shelf at Erewhon. We're already top 19 and we're going down or going up every day. We started like top 42, top 27, top 22. Now we're at top 19. So every week it's improving, and it's just by having our product there on the shelf. So we didn't do any demos, any activations, any in stores, any specials. No, we didn't even say any marketing on the website or Facebook. We did nothing. We just put the product on the shelf, and it keeps increasing in sales. So we know the velocity is there and our personas there. People understand. They're like, wow, nettle, wow, dandelion, oh, hibiscus, oh, wow, this is a clean label, and maple syrup, that's the best sugar. And so it's like we don't have to educate at all. So it's easier.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. I mean, I feel like the labels, and I like that some of the ingredients are like right on the top where you can see, because like if you were to see this in a store, I mean, you see a lot of stuff, a lot of herbal tea drinks and a lot of sparkling waters that are like maybe have some additives that are maybe they even are herbal. But the herbs that you're using specifically are so unique. I feel like they speak for themselves. And then the closer is just you look at the label and it's like, oh, it's great. It's only 4 ingredients. It's like this is like perfect. It's interesting and it's healthy and it's clean and organic, and
and then you get them with the taste. It's like, oh my god, it tastes so good, and then they're like, okay, sold.
No, I can't wait to try it, and I hope I can get my hands on this somewhere. I'm in New York here, so that's why I asked if you were in the US. Yeah, I was going to ask if you were in any stores in New York. They can do Amazon. Yeah, they'll do Amazon. Yeah. Then I'm curious too. Was anything changed, since your experience on Amazon? It was kind of going from that 2 to 5%. I mean, that's growth is growth. I mean, it might not be monumental to your bottom line with all the retail business that you do, but did you do anything specifically to change that, or did you notice any kind of changes on that side of things that you think led to that, or you think it was just mostly kind of organic growth since you've been on a little bit longer?
I think there's a bit of everything. I think it's always a recipe. It's never one thing that makes the whole. Of course, if we had like a superstar talking about our product, probably that would have a big impact. Right now, as where we are. When you're in a bigger company, I think it gets diluted. And even if you have superstars talking about your product, it gets diluted because you're such a big machine. For us, it would have an impact. But I think the number one thing, especially for Amazon, we just started a month and a half ago on Amazon US. It's mostly from discovering us in retail and then also adjusting the keywords. So those are the two things that are really helping. Investing in coupons and the basics for sure, having a nice website. I think the next key step will be for us to participate in their reviews. Like you have programs where you can ask people to buy or get the case for free, and then they can review. That will really help rank. And also we know we did that in Canada. That really impacts the algorithm. So because you have more reviews, you have more referencing. So we know that helps a lot. We'll do that again because we're really a product that's undiscovered in the States. But even so, it's growing by itself kind of without all that. So, which is great. We do reach out organically to our people as well. Like if we know someone in the States, hey, do you think you would be interested in this? Or would you know someone? Can you send the link? Or we do that as well because we think that's the first kind of step into a place. Or they find us, let's say they'll start finding us at Google or Meta head offices, and they'll want to have some for themselves at home. And they'll Google it or Amazon it because the Amazon's now the Google of products, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it certainly is. It's a perfect explanation for it, actually. Yeah.
So if you want to find a product or something, you go on Amazon. But if you're looking for information, you go on Google. That's basically what we discovered. So if you have a product to sell, you have to be on Amazon because that's where they discover you. That's also why we were there.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense, right? And I guess I'm curious too. I mean, from selling online, obviously, even with like Amazon, it kind of depends, it seems. But I mean, from what you can tell, the data that you're able to gather from the direct to consumer sales you're doing through Amazon and your website, who seems to be kind of the typical demographic of like type of person that's buying this directly from you? And I'm curious, is that any different than what you kind of went into it as, like, you know, building an ideal customer in your head? Is it similar to that, or did it kind of like organically change into something you weren't expecting? I'm always curious about that experience.
We did. Yeah, we did. We really catered to, because especially in Canada, and 85% of women are the ones who discover and bring the products home from the grocery. I haven't seen the statistics in the States, but I think it's similar.
It is more true, if not the same, I'm sure. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we were like, okay, for sure, it's a woman. She's fit. She loves the environment. She's environmental. You know, wants products that have a better kosher around all that, and you know, have a clean label that she can drink 1,000 times a day. She likes the mission behind the company and all that stuff. But as we developed and had people try, it's actually open to much vaster demographic. Like we were thinking 25 to 45, but it's actually like 8 to and even younger than that. We have like 18 months old, 8 and 7 months old that, you know, we have, when we do demos, they try little cups because it's all healthy for kids, and they're like, they want it. We have pictures, we have videos of it, and I know for sure when a kid's going to try it, they're going to ask their parents to buy it. So like, when I'm really happy when kids come up, you know, it's like, hey, come, because they love it. They're like, wow. And then the parents are like, oh, this is good for my kids too. And then men, they try it, they're like blown away by the flavor, and they're like, oh my God, like this is it. That's what I was looking for to replace my soda habit, or I drink, you know, sparkling water 1,000 times a day, but the taste's not cutting it. Or so they just adopt it right away. If they try, they adopt. They're sometimes skeptical a little bit in the beginning. They're like, what is this, you know? And then after that, when they try it, they like love it, love it, love it. So yeah.
That's amazing.
They're our fastest adopters, actually.
I could see that. No, I could see that. I feel like with men, I feel like it's typically like a lot of skepticism, but like immediate buy-in if they actually
immediate.
Like it. You know
when they love it, it's like, oh, and then they love it for a long time and forever.
That's it. Yep, for life, exactly. Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. So I guess just one question I always love to ask everybody that comes on the podcast. Oh, sorry. Also, I meant to ask, when did you say you actually started the brand again? When was like your first?
The first time we had the spark for the ideas in September 2017. That's when we started, you know, researching, seeing if we can get funding, if we can get grants, how does it work? How do we scale a recipe that's made in a restaurant to, you know, making it mass produced? And before, we used to be in a glass bottle, and, you know, doing brand design and branding and new recipes. How do you write how many nutrients there's in the back? We had no idea. I didn't come from that at all. So we had to learn, and food safety and traceability and all that stuff. So we set all that up. We had a product the day before our first event, and it's a big show here in Montreal. There's like 35,000 people that come, and we didn't have products on the Thursday. It's called Expo Health Expo. In Expo Manger Santé in French.
Oh, cool.
But yeah,
cool.
Yeah, it's like our Expo West, I would say. It's very similar, but much smaller. There's not
Expo North.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Expo North. They should call it that.
Yeah, they should.
Yeah. Yeah, and so we didn't have any products until the Thursday, because you have to have analysis, release, and all that stuff, and we didn't know. So we're like, oh my God, we're at this show and we can't have products. But at 9 a.m. in the beginning, we had, you know, our first little bottles to sell, and we were picked up right away. People were like, this is amazing. We're picked up by a local TV show that's watched by millions here in Canada, in Quebec, and it just went off from there. But then COVID hit. So we were mostly in restaurants, and here, I don't know if everywhere was like that in the States, but I think New York was a bit like us, like everything closed, gyms, restaurants, it all closed. And then it kind of then closed again, then kind of reopened, then closed again. So we were like, we have to find another model because being just in restaurants not cutting it right now for sure. So by the time you get to talking to groceries, it takes time. They have reviews, they have listings. Oh yeah, we review products only in the spring or only in the fall, or so you're kind of getting in through the cracks. And so we were able to do that. But then we said, okay, might as well revamp, because we know there's a market. We know the products, the people love us. We know we have, you know, when they buy, they love it. We have that it factor, but we're not getting the sales or the yes from the buyers enough. So we revamped everything. We added sparkling. It was non-sparkling before. It was more of an iced tea, herbal iced tea.
Yeah.
So then we did sparkling. We changed the can. We changed the branding completely, even our logo, everything from A to Z. We were really lucky to have an expert in beverage. Like he does brands for only beverage across like North America, so even Europe. So we were super lucky to have him because he believed in our brand and that, people, I think it takes a village to raise a family. It's the same for a business. When you're connected to great people, it just makes the needle move much faster. So we revamped and then a year and a half ago, and we started from scratch, from zero a year and a half ago. And we already have 1,000+ doors in Canada and just getting enormous traction in the States. So from zero in a year and a half to that was really challenging, but super fun. I was like, okay, finally we're seeing the potential of our brand.
No, that's awesome. And it's funny because that kind of leads right into the question that I was going to ask, which is like, if you could go back to the inception of the brand and in its first days, like, what would you do differently if you could go back to kind of day one? But it sounds like you kind of had maybe kind of asked that of yourself and then did a big like rebrand and revamp and took maybe some of your own advice and then, did that a year and a half ago after you did that. So yeah, I guess would be a similar question, would be an answer to that, but also, exactly kind of what you just said. So what were kind of the biggest, some of the biggest like ideological changes for you? I know you went with sparkling, maybe some of the branding, but yeah, tell me a little bit more about that, that period for you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's there were so many inputs that we learned along the way. I think we went to the university, I wouldn't say of hard knocks, but of like discovering. It was really a university for us. Like we had no idea, nothing, like bookkeeping, like nothing. So we just had to figure it all out all at the same time. And I didn't know where to get the information. So I would say the first thing that's the most important is reach out to people, ask questions, other brands, even our competition. They reach out to me, I reach out to them, and we try to help each other out as much as we can because we have most of the time the same values, right? We're trying to offer a better beverage, a better food, a better drink, so we have the same value just starting from that. And it's a small world and everybody knows each other, especially in the organic, healthy food and drink. So just reach out, ask questions as much as you can. And that, surround yourself with the best people. Mentorship. I took like a coaching class for myself, but then I winded up meeting business partners, and networking is the best thing. If I would have done that sooner, I would have gotten higher quicker. If I would have known that networking was the best thing, even when you don't feel like it. Like I went on last Friday to my husband's hockey party. They're done hockey, so they were all gathering, and I met like the top buyer for this store and the top buyer for that store. He had no idea who he was playing with, but they're like super. And I was like, okay, and they're like, yeah, no, call me Monday for sure. We're doing something. I'm like, great. You never know. I was just at a party with friends basically, and so that's the key thing. Number one. The number two would be understanding or training myself a bit more on how to fund the company, because the company, especially when you have a product to produce, you're always looking for money basically, because you're getting money from the past to fund the growth. So that's kind of, you're always a little short to fund the gap. And getting money early stages, to my knowledge, I'm not an expert, but would be at ideation is a little simpler than proving your numbers. So, if you have to prove your numbers, once you have a product and an idea out, it's like, okay, give me the sales stats, give me this, give me that. It's harder than if like I have this idea and this is the proof of concept and this is an investor's already interested and this and that. They're more willing to fund at that stage, or there's accelerators or startup programs, or you meet all sorts of people in those programs. And I would have done that a lot more if I would have known. I didn't know. I would start it that way. Like, let's see what kind of funding we can get. But at the same time, saying that, I know that we probably would have made bigger, more costly mistakes if we had more money in the beginning. So, we were really lean, and we've been really lean with all our decisions, and we've grown organically, and we've grown in the right places before we, put out $1 million and this and that. And then, you see, oh, there's no return there, and those mistakes are more costly than if you say, okay, well, I'll try with $1,000, and then you're like, okay, that didn't work. It hurts a little less. Or if you do get that funding, have that, like, I have no money kind of idea in your head, and be very lean with your budget and try things that are really cheap before you go and, spend your money. Maybe that would be the best way to go about it. But those are a few things that I would change. But definitely 1000% at any stage of a business, even if it's just an idea, surround yourself with people, even entrepreneurs. Any entrepreneur, he's in tech, he's in AI, whatever. It's like crazy how it builds a momentum. They make you think a different way, even if it's not your business. It's the best. really.
Yeah, all those different perspectives are so important, and that's what I love doing about our podcast is we have so many different entrepreneurs and founders on from so many different industries, but the common experiences that they have, there's just some overarching like common denominators that you find as far as like, what it takes to start, what it takes to, be in the middle, what it takes to really, expand and grow exponentially. There's a lot of commonality there. And it's been really fascinating for me to have conversations across industries and learn like, people do go through the same things. Like their first kind of venture project. It's like, it's a very common experience. The brands might be different. The systems may be a little bit different, but, as far as like the headspace and what's really necessary to get something off the ground and, take it to that next level there's a lot of commonality there. That's really what I'm trying to share here. So I really appreciate your answer to that for that reason.
Love that.
Yeah, well, Leila, I just want to give you a quick opportunity just to plug your website, your socials, any way, anybody can keep in touch with you, whether it's a potential maybe business partnership or somebody just interested in finding and buying the product. Let everybody know how to stay in touch with you guys.
Absolutely. So the easiest way is through our website or our socials. It's thehealtea.com. So it's all together, thehealtea.com. On our socials, it's thehealtea.com. That's it. There's no .com, I guess. Thehealtea.com. We might change that to drink heal tea, but we're trying to figure out how to do that. So yeah, that's the easiest way. If not, info@thehealtea or my email, Leila@thehealtea.com. Everything reaches back to me and we're really responsive. Even on our website, there's a little messenger, just click a message, we answer right away. So yeah, reach out for anything. If you're a retailer, if you're you own a cafe, you own a little store, whatever, there's a person that will buy heal tea there. They're always thirsty. It's an impulse buy. You're shopping at anywhere at a mass supermarket, you're thirsty, and a mass supermarket, what they have is only those conventional sodas and fridges. So, and now they're starting to have healthy sweets and zero sugar, this and that, but they have nothing to quench your thirst that's healthy. So, think of us, please. The buyer is there and wants it. We just need the official yes from the buyer to permit us to be there.
Awesome. Well, Leila, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate your time and your insights. I love what you're doing, and just want to say I wish you the best of luck, continued success. Again, I really appreciate you coming on, and I look forward to staying in touch.
Oh, thanks so much, Matt, and everybody. I mean, best of luck to your podcast, and looking forward to hearing it and to discovering more entrepreneurs while I listen.
Yes, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, everybody.